It's a new week and it's a new year. And this week we have a little bit of a formal affair because this week we make a bow tie block. Let's get started. So to make this block, here's what you're going to need. Now, all of these squares that you see here, these are all 2.5 inches. And so I got 4 varieties of print squares and a couple of background squares here, which is this white. And of each of the prints, you're going to need 3 of them. Then with the background 2.5 inch square, you're going to need 8 of them. Basically what you're going to be doing, or in order to construct this block, it's basically a 4-patch, but you're going to snowball one of the corners of the background. So here you can kind of see the sample that I made. So in this sample, we have 2 of the 2.5 inch squares of the print, and then the 2 of the 2.5 inch squares of the background, and we basically snowballed one of the corners. So that extra 3rd square of the print is going to be our snowballed corner, or that's what we're going to use to snowball the corners. The block itself is very easy, or I shouldn't say easy, but it's very quick in construction. But the fun begins when you have multiples of the same block. It's the layout where you can actually have fun. So towards the end of this video, when we get all the blocks sewn, before we actually sew the entire block together, we're going to play around with the layout. So first of all, let's start off this block by actually snowballing our background square corner. So the shape that we're going to be making is actually this shape here. Now, in order to do this, well, first of all, instead of a 2.5 inch square, you could start with a 1.5 inch square and then put that right sides together and do a stitch and flip method. But I wanted to actually just make this shape as a different way of showing you how to snowball a corner. So with one of the print fabrics, what you're going to do is you just cut it right in half from corner to corner. Then with each of these 2 square or triangles, what you're going to be doing is you're going to actually trim this down to 1.5 inches. So I'm going to grab my square ruler here and I'm lining up the 1.5 inch mark. Let me turn it this way. 1.5 inch marks here, 1.5 inch mark there. I'm going to trim off this excess for now, and I actually layered, I'll show you in a minute, that I actually put both triangles on top of each other so that I could actually cut both of them at once. There, so let me line it back up. Now you'll get this odd shape where part of this corner got cut off, and that's fine. This, well, sad to say, you can either keep it as a crumb or as your stuffing or throw it in your crumb bin. This small, yeah, I'm not going to keep it, so I'm just going to put it in my stuffing pile. Since we got this odd shape here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put my 1/4 inch line right on these diagonal corners here and here. Let me do that again, and I'll give you a close-up of this. So here's one corner, there's the other corner. I'm going to line up this 1/4 inch line here on my ruler and put it right on those 2 corners. Okay. Now I'm using a Creative Grids ruler in which there is another 45-degree line here in which I could use that line to match up the edges of the square. But basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to cut this excess fabric here 1/4 inch away from that diagonal so that when we go to sew it, we can use this edge here and align that on alongside our 1/4 inch presser foot, and then we don't have to draw the line diagonally. So this is just another technique as to how to snowball a corner, in which most of us will actually just take a square such as this, draw the line diagonally, sew on that diagonal line, and then flip it back. Well, this method, we don't have to necessarily draw the line. We can use the edge of the fabric here in order to guide us with that 1/4 inch seam. So now we have these pieces here. We got 2 of our background squares and 2 of these weird looking triangles. And so how we're going to line this up is like such. I'm going to take one of these weird looking triangles and I'm going to place it right sides together, but I'm going to match the fabrics here, or the edges of the fabrics here, as well as the edges of the fabrics here. Then when I go to sew this, I'm actually sewing from this corner all the way down to that corner, and I'm using this fabric edge here as a guide to help me guide the 1/4 inch seam. So because we cut this fabric edge a 1/4 inch away, if we just use that as our guide, we should be okay. Okay, so again, to line it up, put it right sides together and line up the fabric edge here as well as here, and you can kind of tell that I'm a little off there. From here to there should be our stitch line. So let's snowball these corners using this method. Gonna line it up, line up the fabric edge, or line up this fabric edge right on the presser foot because I know that's my 1/4 inch, and just go. Okay, let's see how we did with this particular one. On this particular block, even if you do come up a little short, like you can kind of see that on the edges here, there's a little bit of that white background fabric peeking out. On this particular block, it's not really gonna matter because like when you see here, all of that is gonna get put into the seam allowance anyway. So even if you have like a little bit of that background peeking out right here in the corner, I wouldn't sweat that right now. Okay, you'll be fine. So long as it's not like a major huge chunk of it, like more than 1/8. Like if it were showing up like this, yeah, I would definitely resew that. But when it's a little small sliver on this particular block, you know, this is just gonna get hidden in the seam allowance anyway, so I'm not gonna worry about that for now. So this one's good. Okay, notice I do have a little bit of that white peeking out here, but again, I'm not going to worry about that. It's going to get caught in the seam allowance and it's not going to show anyway. But you do want to make sure that your block stays at about 2.5 inches. So I am going to double check this and actually square this up to back to 2.5 inches, and then whatever gets cut off, you know, just trim it down. So I do have a little bit to trim there at the top. And let's see, how's this one? Let me use that 2.5. Okay. And I'll trim that and then trim this side. So little small shavings that we're done. So we're gonna do this with all of the other colors, or all the other prints, in which here we got the pinks. Now we're gonna do this with the blue, the green, and the purple. So let's get that done and we'll be right back. So we got our corner pieces prepared. Here's all of our background squares. So let's stitch and flip the corner pieces, or let's snowball our corner pieces. The common mistake that people might make is you'll probably want to line it up that way. That's wrong. Again, making sure that your fabric edges here up at the top as well as on the side, that's how you line it up. So here we have our snowballed or stitch and flipped corners that are all sewn on. Now for now, I'm just going to use a wood press or woody, and I'm just going to press these back again. Okay, again, I'm not going to worry so much about having the background fabric stick out here on these edges there, because that's going to just get caught in the seam allowance. So I'm just going to press that back and press that down. Now you can, if you want to, you can trim this excess fabric that's behind there. I'm just going to leave it in because it's not that much and it's not going to add a whole ton of bulk. But again, if you want to trim off the excess background fabric, you can do so. Let's just work with the pink to start. So I'm going to lay the block like this. Then I'm going to take my other two print squares like this. Basically, you got a 4-patch here and you made your first bow tie. So let's sew these together just exactly like a 4-patch. Now, just be aware of the orientation that these two snowballed corners must actually point towards each other. So let's just get this block sewn. Not bad. Now I'm just finger pressing toward the print fabric here for now. Okay. Now let's just sew the seam right down the middle. You can nest your seam. Now if you want to, you can put a pin right there in the center just so that, just to make sure that the fabric doesn't shift, but these blocks are not that huge, so I'm just gonna kind of nest the seam and just go ahead and sew it together. Final moment. Let's see how this pink one turned out. Okay, pretty good. I like that. Now on the final seam, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna press this open. You can press it over to the side. One thing I don't think you can, or if you're used to spinning the seam in the center, I don't think you can do that if you didn't cut off the excess background fabric when we should have. You can try it, but I don't think it'll work actually. Or it might, I don't know. But I'm just gonna press that final seam open just to spread out the bulk and the seam allowances. There you have your first bow tie. Now I'm going to finish up the green, and we'll also do the purple and this dark navy blue color. So we said goodbye to 2021 and welcomed in 2022 this week. And I got to thinking that, you know, the past 2 years, 2020 and 2021, they were difficult. And well, of course, primarily because of the pandemic. You know, I certainly believe that there's going to be, well, things are never really going to go back to normal how they were before. There's going to be changes in terms of certain policies or certain things that we do that we were so used to doing. Rather than feeling depressed about it, I figured let's just try and be optimistic about 2022, see what things that we can achieve, or focus on the things of the goals that we'd like to do. And I started writing down goals for myself, just both career-wise, personally, as well as goals for this YouTube channel and what I would like to accomplish with it. And you know, last year I kind of made mention of having additional series, not just with this 52 blocks, 52 weeks series, but introducing other things. And I never actually got around to it simply because I just could not work out the logistics in terms of finding the time to film yet another additional video or just having time to actually work on those things. But yeah, this year I'm gonna make it happen. So be on the lookout for that in the near future. Maybe we can actually pose this as a question to all of you out there. So what are your goals for 2022? Put a comment down below and just mention what are your goals for, do you want to accomplish your first or complete your first quilt? Do you want to, I don't know, eat better? Yeah, that's always everybody's one, but nobody follows through with it, right? You know who you are. Do you want to, I don't know, do more traveling, do more physical activity? What's your goals for 2022? Again, leave a comment down below and just share with everyone. Maybe we can all encourage each other to accomplishing those goals. So while I was chit-chatting with y'all, I got all 4 of my blocks done. Now, before we sew this whole thing together, I'm gonna actually give these blocks a good press, because right now I just kind of finger pressed it and they're not lying flat. So we're gonna give these guys a good pressing. Then we're gonna play around with the layout and gonna show you just a few things that I can come up with, just more or less to encourage all of you to come up with your own layout. So let's press these blocks and let's start playing with the design layout. Why does it smell like Doritos? Oh, I think I need to actually clean out this iron. Yeah. Oh well, still works. Just my blocks will smell like Doritos too. Speaking of which, I'm getting a little hungry. Lunchtime. So there's a few designs that you can, or different layouts that you can do, but the best one that I liked was this one here, where you have all the bow ties kind of creating this octagon. Is it an octagon? Whatever the shape is in the middle. I like this particular layout. Now, again, you can choose whatever layout you want to create. It's up to you. So let's sew all of these blocks together like a giant 4-patch. And here is my finished bow tie block. Now the block should end up being at about 8.5 inches. Of course, give or take your 1/4 inch seam allowance, but this is the first time I actually made this block, and quite honestly, I'm kind of happy with it. Now play around with the design layout, because you do not have to lay it out exactly the same way I have it here. Do what you want to do, or do the layout that's appealing to you. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed making the bow tie block. Happy New Year to all of you, and I wish you all the best in 2022. Now go out and create something. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications on when I upload the next video. Put a comment down below saying what you liked or maybe even what you didn't like. And join the Facebook discussion group at Treasure Heart Creations. You can post pictures of the blocks that you created or just scroll through and gather inspiration from other Treasure Heart Creation Group members. And from time to time, there are giveaways exclusively for Treasure Heart Creation Group members. So use the link in the description box below to sign up. If you're on Instagram, post pictures of the blocks that you're working on using the hashtag THC5252. Well, that's it for now. Now go out and create something.